what's up, everyone? Aaron here. Thanks for coming by and checking out another episode. And I did a blog post about this back in 2023, and it's the do's and don'ts of private membership association. And I just think it's something important that
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light. I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Yeah, that is true. And I hit that soundbite twice, but that's okay. We're going to get through this today. And this is the second time I'm recording this because the first time my camera wasn't actually recording the video. So that being said, let's jump right into it. We're going to do the do's first, the don'ts second. And these are in no particular order. It's just some of the things that I think are important. They come up in conversations a lot when I'm consulting with people. So I wanted to just put this together in a very short and concise video if possible. So first one is clearly define your purpose. And the reason for this is very simple. If you have an association, you need to understand what your purpose is, what your reason for association is, and why a member would want to join. That's kind of going to be like your elevator pitch when you're talking to possible new members. Now, it's also very important to have an understanding of your purpose, whether it's healthcare, education, community type associations, because if you ever are challenged, you want to make sure that you can be able to articulate your reasons for your association and your right of association founded under the First and 14th Amendment. So next, you want to draft a membership agreement. And I look at this, and I probably should have made this the next one, and I should have put not membership agreement, but your bylaws and your articles of organization. And the reason that is because as you draft those documents, now you could either, I'm just doing some stuff here on the computer, you could either draft those documents yourself, you could hire somebody like me to do them, you could get the DIY templates, whatever you're fancy, whatever's fits your needs best, but you want to make sure that your membership agreement, it takes part of those bylaws and articles of organization. Now, I will air some caution here. I'll throw a flag out so you know that while language models, or what people refer to as AI, is a great technology, it's a great tool, it's usually a faster searching engine than Google, and it also can provide you some websites and information like that when you start asking it questions or talk to it. Try very, very hard not to use those for your bylaws, or at least just putting it in there and saying, hey, write me some bylaws for this type of association. You're going to get a lot of bad information in those because, don't forget, these language models grab stuff from the internet. And as we've said here before, there's a lot of bad information when it comes to unincorporated associations, or PMAs, private membership associations, as people like to call them online. So could you use it for an outline? Sure. And I would just leave out association and PMA altogether and just say, give me a rough draft or some outlines of what bylaws and articles of organization for association would look like, or organization. So just keep that in mind, just something to be aware of. You want to maintain your private operations. And, like I tell everybody, it's between you and your members and a fence post. Don't go out there and advertise to the general public like a traditional business. You can put out advertisement if you really need to, based on what would be the benefits of joining. Here's some of the benefits from joining our association, but really you want your association to grow by word of mouth. That way there you are bringing in people that have kind of already been vetted through the people that are already there, and you're going to run into a lot less issues when it comes to removing somebody from the association because they become toxic or some type of acting like a cancer throughout the association. Next is you want to educate your members on kind of what the rights are within the association. Now, I set my associations up a lot different than some of these other outfits you'll find online, because they basically have a lot of
bullshit
on their websites, and they give you bad information, and a lot of this stuff has been carbon copied and came from one person, and this person just changes out a name or a couple letters. But you want to make sure that you're educating your members on what your association is, what it is not, what's allowed to happen in the association, what's not allowed to happen in the association. And then you also want to go over removal if something should go wrong, or they start to become toxic, or they wrong another member, how that's all going to be handled. Next thing is consult with an expert. So whether it's myself, maybe one of the ladies over at the PMA Manifesto, you sit with us, whether, and I've done this with other people, whether they've made their own documents, gotten the DIY templates, and said, hey, can we just go over these? Can you look at these and tell me what I'm missing? I have no problem doing that. I do that for people should they ask. Sometimes I see the same documents over and over again, and the only thing that's changed is the name of the association, because they get them from those other individuals who we've called out here before on the channel, because they literally are just copying one Word document from another, not even their own intellectual property, so to speak. So you want to make sure you're meeting with somebody that really understands associations. Unincorporated associations, you could reach out to a constitutional attorney, reach out to a consultant like myself, the ladies over at the PMA Manifesto. So those are the do's. Now let me, as we're making pretty good time through this, get into the don'ts. One thing is, don't operate like a public business. You do not offer public accommodations. You are a association. You are a unincorporated association that is private for you and your members only. Keep that in mind. You don't want to be strictly set up for commerce. Some people get this idea that I can run everything through an association as commerce. And while you might, let's say, have a homestead and you want to sell your vegetables and eggs, what have you, to your members, the main purpose of that association is more than likely to build a community of people you can rely on that are more self-reliant and more self-resilient. And by doing so, natural transactions happen with the members. What we see a lot of issues is some of these people set up these associations. They feel they are above the law, which they are not, which we've talked about here before. And they start advertising, well, you can have ABC here and the government can't do anything about it. Well, that's not exactly true. And we've covered that here before, and maybe I'll cover that again, how associations do not put you above the law. If you think that's a good topic to revisit, then leave a comment down below. So you want to make sure that you are you're operating your day-to-day operations properly. Don't use a PMA to try to avoid any regulations or anything like that. Get away from paying taxes or any of those things. Again, it's a farce and complete BS, to be quite frank. There are ways of being tax exempt, but it's specifically designated for churches. And just because you want to have a faith-based car wash business does that mean you are tax exempt. So the PMA does offer certain protections. It offers a lot of protections to its members, but just keep in mind, again, I'm going to beat this dead horse, that having an association does not put you above the law. That does not take you out of the jurisdiction, does not mean you have to not answer a cease and desist or a fire marshal or code violation or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to misrepresent your association to your members. Be transparent with your members. Make sure that you are informing them of any document changes within your bylaws, articles of organization, that sort of thing. Make sure that they realize that because they're a part of this association doesn't mean they can sell fentanyl to the other members because you're not in some jurisdiction anymore. So that's a little extreme of an example, but you kind of get my drift there with that one. Number 4, don't skip proper documentation. And whether you are a community-based, education-based, you want to make sure that when you are having either vendors come in, like we did one for off-grid radio communication, we had that person sign a one-day membership agreement to our association. All right, so number 3 is going to be don't misrepresent your association. You don't want to tell somebody by joining your association you can do whatever you want, right? We've kind of already talked about that, but you want to be transparent with your members and your bylaws, your articles of organization, should anything change down the road, membership prices, if you are charging for your association, anything like that. And you just don't want to make any deceptive claims. That's one thing I've seen before is these individuals get these associations set up. Again, they believe all this stuff that they see on some of these websites, and they start saying, oh, well, we don't need X, Y, and Z, when in reality, you still kind of have to obey the laws, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Number 4, you don't want to skip proper documentation. And what I mean by that is no handshake deals, right? If somebody is coming into your association, maybe you're having like an open house. Granted, there's not going to be a lot of information that gets passed around or done, so you may not need anything for that. But if they're going to start coming to regular meetings, if they're going to join your community that you're building, you want to make sure that you have the documentation taken care of with the membership agreement, that sort of thing. Now, if you have it in your bylaws that everything's done on a handshake deal, well, then just ignore that first part, what I said about handshakes, and go right ahead. But I personally would like everything in writing. That way there, your members know exactly what they're getting. You know exactly who your members are. And then if there is any type of disputes down the road, you can say, hey, listen, here's your membership agreement. It outlines how we handle our disputes. Here it is in our bylaws. This is the process we're going through. And now we're removing you. And that way there, everything is just transparent. And if there is any issues past that, when you go to court, if they try to bring you to court for something, in most cases, the judicial system is going to look at your association bylaws, your articles of organization, your membership agreement, and say, listen, this is clearly defined how the association handles it. You are a private association, and they're just going to go with what you said, unless there's some like gross negligence or something like that, or you're just trying to push the person out for some reason or another. And that's because they don't want to waste judicial time on what has already been set up within your associations. Now, this is another one, is you don't want to ignore any ongoing compliance, anything like that. So if things change in your town, state, county, boroughs, whatever it is that you have, villages, if something changes where in the building that you're in, the fire marshal comes in and says, hey, the occupancy went from 120 to 100 based on some new law that came out, you still have to abide by that. You can't infringe on those laws and break those laws, because if you don't, even if you do own the building, you still can't do it. But if you didn't own the building, it'd be even more prevalent, because that owner of the building also has rights. So you want to make sure that you're involved with what's going on legally, following cases like Amos Miller, staying up to date on anything regarding associations. And then also, if your bylaws change, you want to make sure that you're changing those and that your members are being made aware of it. So I guess the only other thing I'll add to that is, along with the ignoring things, if you receive a letter from any state agency, local government, what have you, make sure you answer it. Don't ignore it. Don't say, oh, you're not in their jurisdiction, you don't have to answer it, because that's a lot of the bad information that we hear time in and time again online and everywhere else. Whenever we're talking to people, whether it's at the Rogue Food Conference last year or conversations that I had this past week as I know it's Friday, so this past week as consulting with people. And that's one of the things that'll really jam up your association, is by not answering certain things. So I always tell everybody, make sure you go get Dr. Graves' How to Win in Court Without a Lawyer. I'll put the links down below in the show notes. You go over there, you sign up for the course. It explains everything at an 8th grade level. Great way of doing it. The other thing I will mention real quick that I talked about earlier was, where was it? It was the don't operate as a public business thing. If you're going to be on social media, keep it limited. I would prefer, if you do have an association that you're building in a group, either get a Start9 system, run your own chat server, end-to-end encrypted messaging, or use Signal or Telegram, something like that, where it is private for just you and your members. I know for us, we've had, one that's for members only, and one that's like for friends of the association that might have come once or twice, check things out, and we just put stuff in there as far as, hey, this is what event we have going on. So again, associations, they can be a powerful tool to operate within your community, to build a community, to do things with more privacy than you would if you were running a public entity that is registered with the state, and LLC, LLP, that sort of thing, S Corp. But you have to make sure that you're structured properly. You have to make sure your documents are sound. They're not just copied from one person to another. And you want to make sure that you are doing things properly so you stay out of the court systems. You're not breaking any laws by having the association. You're not believing that you are in some other jurisdiction, because that's what's going to build a sound community, and your members are going to be well protected within that association. So again, as always, if you have any questions, comments, please leave them down below. If you'd like to schedule a time with me to have a consultation, I do either 15 or 60 minutes, and you can schedule that down below also. And should you need anything else related to associations, please let me know. And thanks for watching today's video.